Here is what I spend in a week living in Austin, Texas as someone who is semi-retired. Spoiler, I take out a set $120 cash and make it last for the week for my day-to-day spending. If you want to streamline your life so it finally feels a little less expensive and hectic, then try having a Financial Plus Life weekly review. I will share exactly how with my real spending and how much I spend on things like groceries and my actual meal plan too. You are not going to believe how much I did and how little I spent doing it. Why, hello, my yellow groupers. I'm Carly, a finance grad and the creator of Best Money Class Ever, where I teach how to pay off debt, invest, and stress less about money. Grab a seat. I'm about to spill the financial tea. Are you ready for it? Last episode, I shared how to have a monthly budget review with my real January spending and my February monthly budget. This week, we're taking a close look at my weekly spending this week. We're going to do first a deep dive on my brilliant system for managing money day to day, which I call weekly cash. I'll share with you 4 reasons why I love weekly cash and how it is completely different and better than the envelope system. Next, I'll also share with you how exactly to have a weekly review. If you crave accountability with money, this is for you. You can follow along. I'll be sharing my real numbers using my financial day planner, classic planner, and spreadsheet, which you can grab. It's in the link below. It's story time. This is the story behind weekly cash. If you haven't heard the term weekly cash, it's because I pretty much made it up. I studied finance and I geeked out about all things personal finance. I was getting the degree and then I read everything I possibly could get my hands on when it came to personal finance. I had some student loans, I had a car loan, and I wanted to truly build wealth. And so I read book after book after book, and all the gurus at the time said, if you want to gain control of your spending, use cash. Physically use cash. So I thought, well, if they are all doing this, there must be something to it. The thing is they all talked about the envelope system, which basically the envelope system is you take out cash and you put them in different envelopes. So you have your envelope for groceries, you have your envelope for eating out, you have your haircut envelope, your entertainment envelope, the pet envelope, the makeup envelope. And I was like, this is a little complicated. Why don't we just take out a set amount of cash, put it in my wallet, and make it last for the week? Thus, weekly cash was born. So to be clear, weekly cash is a cash budget for what I consider your operating expenses. I want you to become a CFO and manage your money like a boss. All businesses have operating expenses. They're regular, they're necessities that you need to keep the business running. As CFO, you're running the business of you. So basically, what do you need as a human to keep things going day to day? Now, also in personal finance, they typically look at expenses as fixed versus flex or variable. So this is for your flex or variable expenses. So most of the expenses that vary, like groceries, eating out, putting gas in your car, are also pretty regular that you can estimate. So I use cash for those. So those are also areas that people tend to overspend. To be very clear, what I consider your regular operating expenses is groceries and then food and drinks out, like a coffee, a happy hour, restaurants. And then also there is literally gas. So I physically park my car and put gas in and I use cash to pay for it. And then other miscellaneous throughout the week. So that could be a new shirt, a small birthday gift, something for the house, day-to-day purchases. I like clockwork on Friday, take out $120 cash and make it last for the week. When it's gone, it is totally gone. Here is the breakdown of typically what I spend within that week. So I normally spend about $40 on average for groceries. Yes, it's true. About $20 or $25 on gas for my car. I don't have that much of a commute, so I don't need to spend that much on gas. And then about $25 on food or drinks out. I usually go out to eat once or twice a week and buy like lower cost items from the menu. And then $30 is other. So that is just household or little things that pop up throughout the week. So you can take the guesswork out of a budget by having this set amount of cash for the week. When you spend less on the little things, then you free yourself up to have more money for the bigger things. I did a full breakdown on how exactly to create a monthly budget, but as a recap, you have your fixed expenses, the categories for your fixed expenses, savings, housing, insurance, services, and debt. And then for your flex expenses, you have your operating, which I use cash, groceries, food and drink out, gas for my car, and other miscellaneous. Since you're spending less on those day-to-day things, you have more money available for what I call your life reinvestment, which is you as CFO choosing to spend guilt-free on. And those categories are medical, maintenance, projects, celebration, travel, and fun. I've personally been to over 20 countries, had a ton of miscellaneous surgeries and car repairs that I have not had to go into debt for. And the biggest reason is because I limit what I spend on those little day-to-day purchases. There are 4 reasons why I recommend and love a weekly cash budget. Reason number 1, it stops emotional impulsive spending. So if most of your day-to-day purchases are with cash, that puts a hard stop to late night Amazon scrolling where you're add items in the cart, take them out, return, the guilt, the remorse, or the Uber Eats and all that. When you have the set fixed amount, you just really stop that impulsivity and gain control of your spending. The second reason why I love it is you actually spend less. There's an MIT study that showed people on average spend 100% less when you physically use cash versus an actual credit card. If you feel like life is so expensive, then just start using cash and you're going to spend 100% less. And reason number 3 is cash actually helps small businesses. For the day-to-day purchases, like if you're grabbing a coffee, every transaction, the business is going to pay a transaction fee. 1.5% to up to 3.5% of the purchase price goes to just the transaction of the credit card, debit card processing. So if you are frequenting mom and pop, family-owned businesses, small businesses, this actually helps them be a little bit more profitable. And then 4th reason why I love cash is it actually helps be a little more secure. So nowadays there are a ton of credit card breaches where you swipe your card at a gas station or at a store and then your card information is compromised. So using cash for those regular day-to-day purchases helps kind of prevent any of those credit card or security breaches. Before we dive into my actual cash spending, I want to show you the process of how this works. What I do is I, as CFO, have a Financial Plus Life weekly review. I get it. There is never ending chores, appointments. It's always someone's like birthday party extravaganza weekend. How in the world do you stay sane and how do you afford it all? And the answer is to have a weekly review. This is a mini check-in as CFO for the week ahead of what's going on in your life that's also going to be costing money. If you always think, man, the mental load is just too much, or I feel behind on errands and burnt out, or I'm always scrambling from one thing to the next, never know what's for dinner, and I walk into a grocery store and spend hundreds on groceries and have nothing to eat still. If you do want to streamline your life so it's a little less hectic, try having this process of a weekly review. There are 4 steps to have a weekly budget review. First step is to track. We want to track what happened last week with our debit card and our cash transactions. Step 2 is to reconcile, make sure your records match the bank. Step 3 is to review what's going on for the upcoming week. And then step number 4 is to plan your week. If you missed it, I actually planned my entire year in advance and it is way easier than you think. Now that I've done a little bit of work up front, I just have a monthly budget that I automate and then check in weekly. Let's start with step number 1. In a track, you'll see exactly what I spent last week. Here is my financial day planner. It's a day planner and financial plan in one. I manage my money like chief financial officer running the business of me. When it comes to managing my money, I use financial statements. I freaking love financial statements. We have your balance sheet, which checks in on your assets and the liabilities with your net worth. For the weekly review, we're going to look at your income statement and your statement of cash flow to track your spending. Your income statement is actually the budget, what we think is going to happen before the month starts. And then the statement of cash flow shows what actually happens. So your income statement in the business world is also known as the P&L or profit and loss statement. And again, I like to use this in terms of what a budget, what I think is going to happen. And then the statement of cash flow shows the actual inflows and outflows throughout the month. I do an annual review and then check in monthly and then a weekly review. I do my weekly reviews on Friday. This is looking at the transactions from January 30th through the first week of February. I will first track and show you my cash spending. I track those separately than the debit purchases. Let me show you how it's done. Throughout the week, for my cash purchases, I simply just save the receipts and then I will enter them into the spreadsheet. But I want to show you first how crazy my week was, how much I did and how little I spent. So this is a financial day planner classic planner. It's a day planner and financial plan in one. This is more your regular planning throughout the week. In Texas, we had the crazy winter storm, so I was desperate to make plans. So I take out my cash on Friday and then I make it last for the upcoming week. Here is kind of a few of the things, my schedule that I did. I had dinner out with one friend, and then another friend invited me over for another dinner party. So I was like, why not? And the next day I had a gym class, I had an eye exam, I had lunch with my girls, I had another get together, it was a tea. And then my goal for February is to do an e-file organization. So I did that night. On Sunday, I had a hike meetup group, and that's when I did my meal prep, laundry, and then workouts. So basically, we'll be looking at my spending from Friday through Thursday. On that Friday, I had what I call rollover cash. I had 48.28 left from the previous week. So I entered that on this tracker as the starting amount plus 120. I did go out to dinner with a friend of mine. It was actually her birthday, so I treated. We got margaritas on special for $5, and then I got a $5 app as a dinner. And all in all, it was $41. My friend had a house party. I went and picked up some wine, some cheap wine for $7. And then the next day, I had a lunch with friends. It was just pizza, so I got personal pizza for $15. I put $15 gas in my tank, and then I did do an eye doctor appointment. He recommended some eye drops, and then I picked up some allergy meds for $27.93. Then I had to get a prescription eye drop for $10, and then my groceries from HEB were $31.04 total. And this is what I actually had and made from those groceries. For breakfast, I had overnight oats with berries, and then for lunch, I'm attempting to be a little bit more healthy, so I had a spinach artichoke salad with chickpeas, a side for Greek yogurt, and then for dinner, I had a chicken stir fry with peas and carrots and eggs. It was pretty yummy. And now let's track our transactions within our bank account, because I don't spend that much on the day-to-day things. I mean, people easily can spend $120 on groceries alone, much less like Uber Eats. And I really free up a ton of cash to spend on other things that are important to me. I call those life reinvestments. Other people may classify them as flex or variable expenses. Let's enter in from January 30th through February, the first week. For the end of January, I forecasted I would see an eye doctor for $85. For February, I estimated that I would be spending another eye doctor appointment for $85 and a dermatologist appointment for $350. Let's see what actually happened. Whenever I am tracking my debit card transactions, I have my account pulled up on my mobile, and I just look one by one and enter those into my statement of cash flow. In January, I had weekly cash that Friday, which I just showed you the transactions for. That was $120. I had a eye doctor appointment. I thought it was going to be 85. I wasn't quite sure. It actually was 90 for the copay, and so I categorized that as medical. The ending balance of January is going to then be the starting balance of February, and I'm making sure that's showing up on the budget and then also on the statement of cash flow. The transactions that I had for February so far: a reimbursement for health insurance. It was $41.67 from my previous insurance. And so anytime there is a return or refund, I do classify that as a negative, just lowers what I spent in the category previously for my year-to-date totals. I also had my dermatologist appointment. I thought that was going to be $300. It actually was $356. So I classify that there as medical. Health insurance premiums are fixed expenses, and then the copays and extras, I classify those separately. And then I also transferred myself a whopping big time paycheck of $12.50. I do pay my rent, water, trash together with my internet. So the transaction is actually as one on my bank transaction, but here I like to separate it because the internet's bundled in and I want to categorize that differently. The second step with a weekly budget review is to reconcile. If you are doing this weekly, it really should just take a couple minutes to check in and make sure your balance matches the actual bank balance. So let's look at this on the spreadsheet. Here it does. My spreadsheet matches the actual bank account. If it was different, I would just go through line by line, and usually there is something entered incorrectly, something that is pending. Then with my cash setting to reconcile, I'll literally count the cash and see what I have left in my wallet. So this week I have $20 and 31 cents. I will just type that in on the cash tracker, and it does match my records. The third step with a weekly review is to simply review your month and week ahead. On the financial day planner spreadsheet, I like to touch base on the income statement and the budget of the income and the expenses that I forecasted for the month and see if anything in particular is coming up for the upcoming week. For example, I had budgeted that eye doctor. I actually found out that the follow-up appointment content he is doing is going to be for free, I won't be paying that. I also listed for my projects this month, I want to upgrade and get some new plates and mugs and then a TV. This upcoming week, though, the thing that I'm going to be doing is celebrating Valentine's Day. I allocated $100 extra for getting a massage and then getting myself some chocolate and flowers. I am going to be joining a dinner club. That's probably going to be the following week. And then I'm just kind of looking at my calendar here. And then here I'm looking at my financial day planner, classic planner. I'm going to do a quick review on my year. I do an annual review where I break things out of what I want to do for the quarter and then each month and then each week. So the big categories that I plan are my medical stuff. And here I'm reminded I actually have a new plan. I need to set up a PCP appointment. And then I also have a few things coming up with my project. I have an apartment. There's a few things that I want to make sure I get set up in my apartment. And I do want to do an e-file organization, get organized with my videos. And for the holidays, I want to start building my decorations. So I do want to get a Valentine's Day wreath and celebrate Valentine's Day. So I'm just kind of skimming over and looking at my big picture things that I wanted for the year. And then I have everything mapped out, the priorities for the quarter. And then I have things mapped out for this month. It's just a quick review of my month. And then I also have things on the calendar for this upcoming week that I was already planning for and scheduled. And this is also to de-influence you. Like I said, I only take out $120 cash out, but I do so much. I am reviewing my appointments and everything that's already on the calendar. I have a Valentine's Day, I have an Instagram training, money coaching sessions for best money class ever student, a comedy show, free no cover, bike ride, build a bouquet for free, therapy appointment, happy hour, Cosmo plus nail night, eye doctor appointment, friend's birthday, lunch, and a Valentine's Day party. After I've reviewed, the next step is then to plan. We are going to write out our to-do list and also to-buy list. First, we're going to look at the to-do list. I like to think in terms of what I want to do this week with my life and then also with my work. With my life, I'm prioritizing working out with group fitness. So I want to work out 4 times a week, find a Cosmo recipe for Valentine's Day, book a primary care appointment, call the DMV, report that my license plate is missing. For work, I want to film, edit, and record 12 short form videos, 1 full episode for this show. The next part of planning is scheduling your to-do list. So I'm looking at what I want to do and then putting a time and place for that. I'm scheduling my workouts. I also want to start batching my work days and workflows. So Monday is going to be my best money class ever day where I work on class content. And then I have a bunch of coaching sessions as this last cohort is finalizing. Some people got some bonus coaching. And then Tuesday, write and research for this week's episode. Wednesday, I want to film. And then on Thursday, edit. Friday is going to be catch up. I do recommend as CFO to have a regular time in your week to do the weekly review. For me, that is Friday. I am marking that here in my schedule. I also have weekly cash day. So on Fridays, I get my cash, I get my gas for my car, and my groceries as well. Next, when you're planning for your week, give yourself permission to buy whatever you want. So this is a little list that you can write out for the week of what you want to spend on guilt-free. And this also helps to prevent impulse buys when you have a clear list. So for me, I know this week I need to buy my friend's birthday gift and card. I'm going to book my massage for Valentine's Day. I'm going to get some flour and candy, and then I am going to be baking a cake for my friend's birthday. So I'm going to get some cake pans because I need some new cake pans. The next thing to plan during your weekly review is your meals. I do a meal plan for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know exactly what I'm having for the full upcoming week. It's a lot easier than you think. The key part is before you do the meal plan, you do need to know what is going on in your life, what other dinners or get-togethers and things are happening. For me, on that Sunday, I usually have a breakfast taco, and then I will batch make shrimp tacos with Mexican rice. And then for the Valentine's Day party, I'm going to bring tortellini kebabs that are really yummy. And then I'm going to be making my regular breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is going to be for breakfast, I'm going to have overnight oats with apples. For lunch, I'm going to have tomato soup with grilled cheese. I went out last weekend, and that's what my friend ordered at a restaurant, so I've been craving it ever since. And then for dinner, I'll have shrimp tacos with rice. On Friday, the 13th, I am going to have my annual Valentine's Day steak dinner with asparagus and a baked potato. On Saturday, I want to have bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. Saturday is going to be dinner out. Once I know what my meals are, then I simply just write my grocery list. And the key to saving a lot of money at the groceries is just to write a list and only get the items on the list. You want to check it once before you hit the store to make sure you have everything you need. And then twice, I take this with me when I'm at the store. I highlight as I buy each item line by line. So I do one run to the grocery store and that's it. First, I'm listing here my household items that I need, which are soap and a toothbrush. For the overnight oats, I already have the oats and yogurt. I just need the apples. For the shrimp tacos, I'm going to get the shrimp, corn tortilla, onion, avocado, and beans. For the tortellini kebabs, I need the tortellini, olives, pepperoni, and mozzarella, crushed tomato for the tomato soup, bread and cheese for the grilled cheese, and that is it. For the Valentine's steak dinner, Cosmos and the cake, that is something I'm going to be getting with next week's grocery run next Friday. Make sure and follow and see how much I spent on my groceries this particular week. Those are the 4 steps to streamline your life with a weekly review. First, again, you will track, then you're going to reconcile, and then review your week, and lastly, you will plan. As CFO, you decide what you want for your financial life for the week ahead. Weekly Cash is a very simple system to gain control of your spending. You take out a set amount of cash and make it last for the week for areas that people tend to overspend, like groceries, eating out, and then gas or other fun day-to-day things. The goal is just to make it last for the entire week, helping you stay mindful with your spending and on track to reach your financial goals. This will help you avoid relying on credit card, adding more to your debt load, or spending tons on interest. Make sure you actually are spending only money that you truly do have. This does prevent overspending. Once the cash is gone, it is gone. There's no surprise charges later at all. You pace your spending so you don't blow your budget. Physically handing over cash helps a ton. You'll have less stress and less guilt because you've already given yourself permission to spend in this area. Break emotional spending with this new habit. Lastly, I am here to hype you up. It is time for a best money class ever money win. This is from a student who tried out Weekly Cash and she absolutely loved it. Let's take a look at what she has to say. She writes, "Hey Carly, I've been using the cash plan for my weekly spending and it is great. Literally looking in your wallet and seeing the bills and thinking to yourself, okay, that's how much money I have is so much better than any app or digital way of tracking your money. Today, I was reminded of the concept cognitive load. Like why Steve Jobs wore the black mock turtleneck and same jeans every day. You don't have to think about the little things so much so you can move on to more special topics." Thanks again. I totally 100% agree. And that's also why I wear the same little black dress too, the cognitive load. If you want that same simple budget, then try Weekly Cash out for yourself and see what you think. Thank you, my yellow groupers, for listening. Every show has a dope name that they call their listeners. I'm calling you my yellow groupers. We have slow starts. We get behind. Life does not go as planned. Nothing comes easy. The cards are stacked against us. The hands we were dealt are not ideal. We get off course. We get knocked down, but we don't ever give up. Our trials, our adversities, that is what makes us stronger. If you need a fresh start, I hope you give Weekly Cash a try and try having a weekly review. Just a short check-in with your financials plus life for the week ahead. You can grab the exact financial day planner that I created and personally use in the link below. If you've been meaning to get your finances in order, now's the time, and this is the best place to start. With the finance plan, you will overcome analysis paralysis with a proven plan. This is the roadmap that you've been looking for to pay off debt and retire a millionaire, even if you have no idea where to start and you're living paycheck to paycheck. I am really curious and would love to hear from you. How much do you spend in a week, especially on groceries and eating out? Have you tried a cash budget? Let me know. Spill your financial tea in the comments below if you are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Did you like this video? If so, like it and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends who also geek out over personal finance. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you're listening. It really helps others who are on a mission to pay off debt and invest find this show. Best money class ever, my 4-week live and signature personal finance class starts soon. You want in? You can get on the waitlist to take the intro to class for free. Head on over to bestmoneyclassever.com or the link below to save your spot. You'll instantly get a free downloadable 20-page guide with the finance plan, your step 1, 2, 3, and 4 with money. If you don't know where to start, what order to tackle things, I'll break it down to you step by step. As always, remember, you only live once. Be smart with your money now. I will catch you later. Bye.